afternoon, and welcome to another episode of the Quest for Excellence series brought to you by Intellectus Consulting. The Quest for Excellence series, as we all know by now, is an endeavor to raise the standards of marketing excellence in our industry. This endeavor is with the sole purpose of educating and also help develop the core capabilities of our young, budding, upcoming marketing professionals in our industry across several domains, which include leadership excellence, marketing excellence, brand building excellence, commercial excellence, and strategy excellence. In this series, we have featured interviews and easy flowing conversations with several business leaders of various organizations and got their perspectives on what it takes to achieve the highest standards of excellence in the above domains. They have shared with us their life's learnings, their deep and rich experiences across various functions, which would help the marketeers in the community to learn, internalize, and apply in their career as they move forward. We have interviewed people and professionals from various backgrounds, from sales, marketing, brand management, commercial excellence, including CEOs, managing directors, and chief marketing officers. Friends, today I have great pleasure in conducting this series interaction with one of the most senior, respected, and well-known chief executive officers of our pharmaceutical industry. He has had over 3.5 decades of experience in this industry across functions of sales, product management, marketing, commercial operations, and now works as a chief executive officer for India's fastest and most exciting dermatology company called Curatio Healthcare, based in Chennai. Friends, please meet Mr. Shankar Das, who is a very well-known, reputed name in our industry, who is synonymous with strategic marketing. Shankar Das is a gentleman whom I have personally known for a few years now in various capacities, and most recently worked with him in coaching and building the brand capabilities of his marketing team about 1.5 years ago. He has a phenomenal experience in the core commercial operations of sales and marketing and spent considerable time of over 2.5 decades with organizations like Dr. Reddy's, building brands of significant repute in the therapy areas of oral care, gastroenterology. Some of the marketing practices that got institutionalized in Dr. Reddy's in those early years was due to Shankar Das. And as the adage goes, it is to be known as the Shankar Das way of marketing. Consequently, Mr. Shankar Das has applied and internalized those same brand building principles in Curatio Healthcare to build a very powerful position, a specialized and a differentiated position in the field of dermatology in India. Curatio Healthcare today is one of the fastest growing, most exciting, and definitely one of the most innovative dermatology product companies that we have in our industry today. In a very short span of time, they have become the preferred partner for dermatologists and cosmetologists across the country for the management of hair, skin, and face problems. It is a very, very big pleasure and privilege for me to have a man of outstanding, stellar reputation and a well-known person in the industry, such as Mr. Shankar Das, to be a part of our interaction today. Hi, sir. Good afternoon. Shailesh here. Can you hear me?
Hi, I can hear you.
And you can see me as well. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm fine.
Very nice. Very nice to see you. And thank you so much for agreeing to come onto our platform and sharing your thoughts with us over the next hour.
Oh, yes.
And I must tell you, it's a great pride and privilege for us to have you come and willingly participate in our series, the Quest for Excellence series that we have just started a few days ago. And as I outlined in my note, Shankar sir, it is clearly with the objective of getting experiences and those pearls of wisdom which have been gained through rich life experiences of senior business leaders like you in the industry, so that our young and upcoming marketeers in our community, they learn a lot from all those experiences that you share in terms of brand building, brand marketing, life cycle management, and how do you launch products, so that hand holding would help them to definitely grow and do better in their career. So that was the whole objective, sir. And so once again, really happy and privileged to have you in on our series. So thanks a lot. I think first I must definitely tell you that it means a lot to me personally, as having known you for the last couple of years. Yeah. So,
Thanks, Shailesh. It's a pleasure for me to talk to you, and I hope I will be in a position to contribute some of the areas in the business management.
definitely, sir, you will, and we are sure about that. So let me get on to our interaction. And, I want to maximize this time with you, as much as possible. So you've had a phenomenal career, and 35 years is a long time in the industry, sir. And when I see your, journey, it's absolutely a perfect kind of a textbook kind of a journey that you had in sales and marketing, building great brands and businesses in one of the leading organizations like Dr. Reddy's in India, and doing a very successful internalization of the brand building processes in DRL. In fact, I remember in those late 90s and 2000s, we used to hear, even though we never knew you directly, we used to hear that there is something known as the Shankar Das way of marketing in DRL. And honestly, a lot of my peers and colleagues in DRL who have worked with you, under you, you know them well, we have shared. They used to say there is a Shankar Das way of marketing and building brands in DRL, and it got internalized. And now we see that great practices, in Croatia as well. Sir, my first question to you is, do you ever pause or get time to pause and reflect how these 35 years have gone by? And do you ever get a chance to, reflect upon, have these changes in sales, marketing, commercial operations, have they changed dramatically in these last 3 decades you've been with the industry? And if so, if you could let us know, so that all our viewers would love to hear your story of how you saw the transition. And more importantly, sir, from the brand building piece, on brand marketing, because that's where I know you're very committed and passionate. Has it evolved, and how did it evolve over these last 3 decades? I just would like to start off our conversation, sir.
So thank you, and certainly my first response is to reflect upon. I do reflect upon. 35 years is a long period, and in this 35 years, the one role which I worked for, all other roles has come in my way, but one role with a plan I worked for was a brand manager role. I mentioned that I want to be to Dr. Reddy's, and I actually worked for it, because when I joined Dr. Reddy's, I joined in sales. So over a period of 2.5 3 years, I worked for it, and I moved into brand management. So in that way, no, I have several occasions, and several occasions I have reflected upon. So what has significantly changed, perhaps I will try to add a couple of anecdotes also, is significant changes in my first few years of brand management in the business. Okay, most of it was a carpet bombing approach. I very clearly remember that you take the product to all the doctors. Your entire portfolio, you take it to all doctors. If you're launching a new product, you take to all doctors. So that's how it was about 2.5 decades before. In fact, the new product, the objective working will be very interesting. That what is the size of the field force? So if you have 300 people, whether you have a mass product. If it is a mass product, then whether you can reach 10 boxes per head per month. So this used to be the way the objectives got set. From there, I think industry has evolved in a very, very grand way. So I would say that today, the technology has enabled a much better precision-based planning activity. So that's a very welcome and important change. In fact, even within DRL, no, this I have quoted several times in DRL itself, that there was a significant change in the way DRL made Omis a brand leader, the category leader, versus how Razo was taken into a leadership position. There was a stark and significant difference. And the difference was more on the precision with the ability of data. So what has changed in the 35 years? I think that we are becoming more and more specific. This is not very much only with one company. I think the industry has evolved by being very specific, and they use the technology in a very strategic way to arrive at success as well as minimize wastages. So I think this is the change that has happened. In planning, no, there were times in the initial years, I remember, that it was totally inside out. What we have, what is the capacity, what is our API facility. So the planning considered most of the internal capabilities. Whereas in the last 2 decades, the planning is considering more and more an outside-in perspective, which is also good. So I think these are the macro picture which I would like to share of what changes that had happened.
Right. So did you ever clearly see the changes in customer behaviors, physicians' behaviors, because they were a very important stakeholder for so many decades, right? So did you see as a very, I know you're an astute marketeer, changes in their behavior, brand preferences, choices, the way they manage diseases? Did you see that evolution also happen over the 2 or 2.5, 3 decades of being in marketing?
Certainly, it has changed, Shailesh, and it has changed, giving a significant brain work for the marketeers and planners. Okay, so I'll give you an anecdotal.
Please, sir, I would like you to spend some time on this, sir. Yes, sir. Please.
So this happened in the year 1998 when there was a ISG Con happening in Pune. Okay, Pune city. So Dr. Reddy's being a big gastro player. No, we were also there playing significant role in that ISG Con. And in the area where the industry is positioned, the stalls and other thing, one of a very famous gastro surgeon from Chennai, Dr. Rangabashyam, is no more. So this Rangabashyam was walking with one Air India ticket in his hand. Okay, and he was walking, waving the ticket and moving from stall to stall, asking us that somebody had booked this ticket for me. I want to know which company had sponsored my ticket so that I can look for a change in the travel plan. Now, this was very interesting for me to watch that here is a doctor, okay, and there is a company X. I also don't know which company it is. So some field colleague or somebody had gone to the doctor and said that we will sponsor your travel, and you can go there, and the doctor has also accepted it and had come there. but the doctor is not even aware of who had done it. Okay, so that's the way it was happening. I told you the year also. From there, if you look at it, I think today the companies have significant amount of legacy experience and experts based database to actually classify the doctors. Whether there is a significant scope for improvement, yes, there are, because the market is becoming more and more specific, targeted, customer centric. But certainly that approach of blindly going out everywhere, that is no longer existing, because customers' choice and preferences have changed. We have several customers who do not entertain all the companies among the A group of customers, if you look at it. So unless the organization has a specific plan for that specialty and that individual customer, okay, it is very, very difficult to cut the ice. So customer preferences have changed. And number two is important change that has transformed the marketing dynamics in the industry is the arrival of internet and the doctors' dependence on the pharma companies and the pharma executives for their knowledge development. It has totally shifted from the industry-centered approach to now the customers don't depend on pharma industry. They have their own forums and academic events where they get updated. So in that way also, it has become a significant change.
Oh, this is very beautiful, Shankar sir, because what you're saying is change is a way of life. The only thing which is constant is change. You have seen changes in the way selling has moved. You have changes in customer preferences, changes in the way from, carpet bombing, as you said, to more precision-based marketing. You also have touched upon the fact that data has become the centerpiece, in a very focused manner. Now, with these kind of changes happening, sir, I am very sure that marketing in terms of strategy for you, especially I have seen that in action in Curatio now, and I'll come to that later, has been very, very sacrosanct for you whenever I have spoken to you, right? Data, prescription audits, retail sales, all these are non-negotiables for you as a leader and for your team. So, sir, in this changed environment, what would you advise marketers to stick on to and build the fundamentals so that they don't, because they get carried away by a lot of external stuff, digital, webinar? What is the core marketing fundamentals that you will always want to advise marketers in our industry, which they should stay true to at all times, sir? At all times. I would love to hear your thoughts.
Okay, so first let me talk about the fundamental behavior required for the marketers.
Sure.
Okay, so with the clutter of too many products, too many companies increasing, one fundamental that is sure to give sales or the business and increasing market share is the conviction-based positioning, and that should result in the marketing team to have consistency in all their activities and continuity. So both are different, and I'll explain to you. So consistency is what you do with your product or your therapy or other thing. So whether the customer can understand the consistency, so that he can understand only when the marketer has the patience to repeat whatever that marketer is doing. That is fundamental number one. And number two is continuity. Whether you are going to the same set of customers whom you have by your own methodologies you have shortlisted. So you stick to that same set of customers so that that customer becomes a continuous medium for him or her to understand what you are doing consistently. So I will certainly insist on what will not change. And all the tools that are available are welcome tools. Okay, so maybe we'll talk about it a little later, like digital marketing. But if the marketer can have that patience to be consistent and continuous, okay, this fundamental, if they hold on to it, I think success will be theirs. Where people give up is with a sales-oriented mindset. When they go, okay, they expect returns to happen quickly. As I said, the market is much more cluttered today, and it will be much higher cluttered tomorrow. So what will be seen or understood by a customer, same customer getting consistently the same messaging, that's what is going to help the customer to form an opinion, to form a perception, and to build a brand. So that's the fundamental I would stress upon, whatever may be the changes that are going to happen in terms of the levers that are available.
Right, sir. Brilliant, sir. So the really beautifully put by you, consistency and continuity in messaging, communication should be the non-negotiable tenet for marketers. They should not waver from this at any point of time. This is beautifully, and they have to be patient. They have to be resilient, and results will come. I think that's a very good message that you're giving to our marketers community. So let us move, sir, to the era where you actually, when you said you joined brand management role for the first time from sales in DRL, and you had a great run in the late 90s and early 2000s building the brands. I have spoken to so many leaders from the organization. And what strikes me most when we were also building our careers is you take any therapy area, whether it was cardiology or gastroenterology that you handled or diabetes, the Dr. Reddy's way of building brands or brand building principles was something like GE way, number one or number two. They had to be top on the mind of the physician and the patient and everyone else. So you take, sir, enalapril, Enam, omeprazole, Omaze, amlodipine, Stamlo beta. You take nimesulide, nice. This is very rarely seen in many Indian organizations where, across therapy areas, acute, chronic, subacute, you build powerful brands. And you were at that stage, sir, that you were driving this along with the team. So can you give us some lead insights as to what was the philosophy? I mean, I'm not asking for the philosophy of building brands at a broad level in those years of Dr. Reddy's that led to such powerful brands getting created at that time, sir.
Okay, so the first thing is one information correction I'll give. While in BRL, gastroenterology, dermatology, pain management and all, or the therapies which I have handled more focused way in the later part. Otherwise, in BRL till the year 98, including the Stamlo beta, cardiovascular, all these brands are launched and handled by me. Okay, so
surprised. Not surprised.
I'm not blowing the trumpet. I wanted to give that clarity of that. I feel very happy. Even today, if you take the top 300 brands of the Dr. Reddy's, so all those brands which are launched and handled by me, other than the acquired brands from Wockhardt, are all from the portfolio of products which I have handled, about which I feel certainly happy about it. And they continue to be consumed by thousands and thousands of patients. Now, you asked about what went behind or what is the DRL way. Okay, so first point, Shailesh, I am linking it with what has given that room for my own success, I would call, is there was a very strong alignment between sales and marketing teams. Okay, so in DRL, to my knowledge, I do not remember an occasion where sales and marketing were at loggerheads and saying that this will not work. There were debates and discussions on why certain things are not going smoothly. Those type of debates are there. But when it comes to strategy execution, I think at that point of time, the sales team leadership, I had a colleague by name E.K. Chandrasekharan, who was very strongly marketing oriented. So building a bridge and bringing an alignment was very, very important reason for the DRL way of marketing. And what, alignment is a term we use, but what made that alignment very powerful, that emerges out of the brand manager's behavior. So number one, whether the brand manager is in a position to bring in the conviction of whatever he or she is thinking that what this brand can do, whether he or she can bring in the conviction to the sales team, and in the process, whether there is fun involved. Okay. The moment the sales team understands that there is fun in implementing this strategy, I think they have gone much faster than what a brand manager would have envisaged. One couple of examples, if I have to give. Okay, so I think it was the year 1997, DRL launched its first diabetic brand, anti-diabetic brand called Reclide. Now, for Reclide, okay, in those times, so I'm not talking of the current times. In those times, people will get surprised if I say now, but we conducted a fun car rally for diabetologists and physicians in about 20 cities in the country. Car rally, okay, and doctors came and participated in the car rally. Can you imagine that how the sales team go berserk when they know that? Okay, or take for example, one pain management brand launch what we had. So we asked the people to come for the launch meeting, where the launch meeting was kept at 5 o'clock in the morning 5 o'clock. Okay, and we specifically asked the people to come in their night dress for the launch meeting. Now you imagine that, what an amount of suspense it gets built and how people participate in those type of things. I think these type of relationship building between the marketing team and the sales team, which is based on excitement and fun. If that happens, certainly you will create a success formula where execution becomes better. I think that's what had happened. I could quote only two examples because we have to complete on only 1 hour, but several such examples.
Great. So the take-home message for marketeers is that when you have fun-based but obviously aligned execution between marketing and sales, the outcomes are going to be far better than what you can envisage at the beginning itself. Is very beautifully said. And both sales and marketing work together towards the same goal or objective. Nice, very beautifully said, Shankar sir, very beautifully said. So sir, now let's get into an aspect which is very important for the discussion, which I believe is interest of you also, is strategic marketing and the excellence of building brands. You have had the opportunity to have worked with marketeers all through your life, and you still hire marketeers in your organization. And I would want to touch upon, where do you see the level of our marketeers at a broad level today when they come into the industry, right? What are the core skill sets that they have or they are found to have, need hand-holding? And what is it that marketeers must fundamentally work on, certain skill sets, if they have to succeed in their careers? If you can basically touch upon that.
Okay, so the first thing is the marketers. So when I say marketers, I am referring to the brand managers and their bosses. Okay, so I'm not including all the pieces within the business function. So one of the fundamental thing is their ability to listen. Okay, listen doesn't mean what they hear. Listen also includes what they have to read. Okay, this aspect, I feel that we have a very, very long way to go, including the management institutions who are not spending adequate time on improving this, because in today's life, getting focused towards one particular subject has become very difficult for people. So people are looking for ready-made answers. They look for the moment you say something, they see whether that is available through Google. Okay, so now that Google will certainly provide an answer for what you are looking for, but that will be in 4 lines or 5 lines, what appears on its search engine in the topmost. But that doesn't mean one has mastered that area. That calls for significant amount of listening, either through listening literally or through reading. I think, ability to focus on what I need to get through listening and reading. I think this area, the marketers need to develop a lot. That's what I feel. Even about 2 years ago, I had conducted an interview for a brand manager in Curatio. Okay, a very smart lady. We usually ask them to come for some presentation. So we gave her an assignment about no any particular subject that she likes. Okay, in let us say 22 immutable laws of marketing, she can present that, and she came on that specified day, started presenting a slide. Okay, and listening to her, I felt that she has to match, what she's currently doing in that company, what is fitting into that type of immutable law. So when she was presenting, I said that to me it doesn't gel well. So what are all the examples that are given under that section in that book? In 22 immutable laws, they talk about a lot of examples. So what are the examples the authors have talked in the book? Now she got stuck. So she said that I have not completely gone through the chapters. I said that then how did you get this presentation? She said that I picked up the presentation from SlideShare. Okay, so there is a 22 immutable laws. If you go to SlideShare, you get it. So what happens is they very quickly try to see that this is something which can be resolved very quickly. So that's the area where there will be an injustice. So my first suggestion or requirement is important piece is people should understand what is the ability, their own ability to listen and focus and grasp. So that is very, very important.
Right.
And in strategic marketing, okay, the clarity on what is a strategy itself should significantly be imbibed by the marketers, be it a brand manager or the bosses, marketing head. Okay, it is very common to see very many product managers saying to the field force, you need to focus, you need to focus. You ask them, what do you mean by focus? Then they will find it very difficult to explain what is the meaning of focus. Okay, so this strategy means what we will do, and more importantly, what we will not do. Okay, so that aspect, I think, right from the leadership level up to the brand manager and at the sales level, all the leaders, if they can give clarity, get clarity of what we will not do, I think that will certainly help the people to focus better. Okay, focus also, meaning that, you have to give up which are obvious to do, but you are giving it up for the success of the execution of the strategy. So this piece must be practiced by the marketers across the leadership level. I think this will certainly help in terms of the team succeeding in strategic marketing.
You are the fourth guest on our series who has emphatically said so beautifully that strategy is about making choices, and more importantly, what you will not do as compared to what you will do. And I think, sir, you have said that because there is no doubt that it's very easy to say what you will do, but what you is obvious and you will not do is about making those difficult choices. It's very beautifully said. So I think the first is listening. Second is obviously, understanding the depth and not just doing the Google stuff and the slide share, but really get into the depth of the understanding of the core fundamentals. And I think third important point, as you said, is developing a strategic thought process of what you want to do, what you not want to do.
I remember one humorous incident that people in India, they go to Varanasi for a pilgrimage. So once you take a dip at Ganges and do all that rituals, then it is expected that you give up one leaf, one vegetable, and one fruit. having gone there. So that's the practice. And very rarely I have come across the people who have given up, okay, something which they would love.
Love, yeah.
Okay, so what is not available? No, I'll be staying, let us say, in Trichy, and very happily I will give up fruit like lychee, which will never come to Trichy. So now that is not strategy. Strategy means that let me tell you, Keterol is a good brand in DRL. Now Keterol is a NSAID. It is a pain reliever. Okay, and so as a NSAID, as a powerful pain reliever, it can go to orthopedician, it can go to surgeon, it can go to ENTs. Okay, but Keterol is very specifically positioned only for dentists. So what is strategically relevant, but still it was given up that we will not do, is the piece of orthopedician, the piece of surgeon or physician. So I am talking about that idea of what we will not do. What we will not do means what is, I am not doing what is not relevant. That's not the case. What is making sense, but you decide not to do. So
Right.
that clarity, if it is there for the sales and marketing team, I think execution excellence can be achieved significantly.
Sir, what it's also said in marketing, obviously, when you're building brands, and especially you said earlier in this conversation, core value proposition, positioning. You can't be everything to every customer, right? It's again about taking choices, what you will stand for and what you will not stand for. This again is very important because marketers, brand managers like to expand the usage to all doctor specialties across indications, which doesn't really happen because it is not about grabbing share. There is a mindset called grabbing share, which really doesn't happen, sir. Any thoughts around this, Shankar, sir? Because this is very common. I see this when I advise my clients, the brand managers do this. Let us grab share. Grabbing share is not a strategy, right? I mean,
so I always share with my team, be it in DRL, because in DRL many people will talk about it, and in Curatio also I do that. It is very simple. The narrower you position, the narrower you focus, the larger you will become. That's how I explain it. The narrower you focus, the larger you will become. But in order to grab share from everywhere, the large area you try to cover through very many tactics, communication, activities and all, you will not get anything. That's what you also mentioned, that you cannot be everything to everyone. So the simple principle is narrow down your focus. The sharper the narrowed focus, the larger the brand will certainly become. When the brand can actually digress itself or can dilute itself, on two situations it can happen. One is the customers love the brand. So like the way we see Ganesha in different forms, the customer starts using it in different forms that you cannot prevent. Okay, so that is one situation. The other situation is no, you feel that the brand, in order to grow further and additionally, you need to expand its usage to bring in additional, which will not be conflicting with the existing positioning. That you can do, but this will not happen in 2 years, 3 years, or 10 years. It will take hell a lot of time, and a lot of people should put their mind behind it, right from prescription analysis to do that type of an action. So it is always better to narrow down the focus.
Thank you, sir. I think that you made a very emphatic point out there, and this is going to be something which will be well taken by our community. So when you talk of marketeers, I am talking about not just product managers, but also marketing heads. We have seen that some very critical aspects of pharma marketing are not fully developed. I mean, I won't make this as a general statement, but we see in many areas, especially when you talk of a good pre-marketing kind of, prior to product launch, or life cycle management for a brand over 5 years, 10 years, pricing strategy, or handling the expansion at a later point of time. These are all strategic issues where a lot of thought goes into the process of brand building. Yet we see at times that it is underdeveloped or not enough thought is applied. What is your position on this kind of a scenario, sir? Is it something that is obviously needs attention?
I think you have used the right terminology that it is underdeveloped and a lot of things need to be done. So out of many things you said, let me articulate more on one aspect, life cycle management, PLC. Okay, because no, within our marketing team, we get our brand managers from Narsi Munji, so we have this type of discussions very often. Life cycle management, let us take. It is very common to see no many youngsters, because in institutes PLC is being taught. So that's why I'm linking it to the institutes. So they all know very correctly. So it is not wrong. Only thing, the context is not taught, in my opinion. So they very interestingly they put that bell curve and say that this is early phase and growth phase and then maturity phase and then decline phase. That they try to show in one slide. And the dimension of this slide gets very strongly embedded in the minds of many marketing people. So what is the issue out of it? The issue is the moment a brand is stagnant for 1 year or 2 years, let us say, you will find very commonly the brand manager or the division head also very comfortable in using already the brand has matured. Okay, so what they are trying to equate is a stagnation. Stagnation is equivalent to maturity. Now that is totally wrong. In my opinion, a product life cycle is mostly decided by the businesses. If the marketer, if the company decides to live with that product, okay, they can make it live forever. Situation will change only when there is a technology change. Okay, otherwise a brand can be ever flourishing brand. Okay, so for that, whose commitment is needed is the marketer's commitment. So what happens if there is a stagnation? You better explore and find out what is the reason behind the stagnation. Okay, so either there is a compromise in terms of execution, or there is a compromise in terms of the marketing team itself not pumping in adequate resources. So there could be several reasons. So you get into that and then try to fix that issue for stagnation instead of no matching it with saying that the product life cycle, PLC management, it is totally wrong. As long as the product is relevant to a chosen segment of customer, there is no end for the product. Beautiful. So the objective of the marketing team should be to identify which is that segment of customer to whom the product is relevant. Right. If they can make that happen, then the product will be ever flourishing. The conventional blades, which I have used when I was 20 years, 18, 19 years, today it is no longer existing. So I cannot assume that those blades have died and gone out of the market. Totally wrong. In India, those are the blades which are selling most, not because of rural, because of barber shops, because of people going, and that is every shop is using, because they have to use disposable blades. Yes. So the people behavior had changed, but there is a relevance to that blade in a particular customer segment. So the marketing team's responsibility is to identify to which segment my product, my brand is relevant. If they can match that relevance with that practitioner, I think the product will have ever expanding life cycle. It will be changing only when there is a technology change, or when much. Obviously, I cannot say that methyl dopa will have a ever expanding life cycle, because it's a very old antihypertensive and the side effects are significantly much higher compared to the current day antihypertensive. So yes, that is more a scientific development. Otherwise, even today, omeprazole, despite the fact that much better PPIs have come, why it is growing and doing well is because as long as the stomach secretes acid, there is a need for anti-acidic agent, and ranitidine and omeprazole will continue to be relevant to these people. It is the marketer's job to find out how do I leverage that.
Right. Right. No, I think you're very beautifully put it, Shankar sir. I think this is again a very emphatic take-home message for our community that you have to match the brand with the relevant customer segment, and therefore you can extend and have the perpetuity, the life cycle. And that's why in India, pharma industry brands are continuing to grow. There is no life cycle as such, if you see honestly, because they may reduce in usage, but that's where you have to find a new class of customers for your brand. But I think matching and trying to do force fitment with the PLC is absolutely wrong, erroneous, as you have said quite emphatically. This is very, very well said, sir. So the other point is, which is worrying. You're saying, and I am also seeing, because you have got 35, I have about 27 years, but generations of yours, or probably ours, have gone into the depths, and I'm not complaining or saying, but when you say Google type of marketing or slide share or trying to do this force fitment, somewhere the worry exists in marketeers, in us, that is it very superficial way of managing brands and businesses, which will not do because they are the real assets of the organization. So how do we overcome this? Is it, I mean, one is of course coaching. You are strong, so you will mentor your marketing teams in your organization. But at an overall context, how do you think this should? I mean, every leadership has to take charge, right? Or is there a better way to do it, sir? What do you say?
Okay, so you have already given that clue of what is going to be my response. In the sense, see, while in 30 years, 35 years, the industry, marketing, planning, all these functions have gone through significant change. But at the same time, something has gone down also. Well, not very positive opinion that I have. What has gone down is that responsibility to coach and guide the people in training and development, be it sales management or be it marketing management. I think that the seniors' attention towards nurturing and developing people, like this PLC example I told you. So I realized it only when I spent some time with my set of brand managers who told me that, sir, by this time, Acne Moisture had already matured. So when that type of a statement was made, then I got hooked to it. I said that, why do you say that it got matured? Okay, then the picture was shown that how it is stagnating. So you are equating stagnation with maturity. Why do you say so? So this type of exploring with the juniors, with the colleagues, and giving them the clarity on what is the fundamental and many pieces like PLC management, pricing, all these things one need to explain to them. So that can happen not in the institute. I always call a training program or an institute is what this both Pandavas and Kauravas had gone through with Dronacharya. Okay, very good education and all. But ultimately, what stands tall is at the action site. What Krishna told Arjuna, okay, at the point of action. And Krishna was a coach. He was not a warrior. He was a coach. That only stands. So that coaching is missing. Okay, so at the leadership level, people have very less patience. And at the execution level or brand managers, they are going by what they have understood on some of these pieces. So if good effort, direction is given. So training and development is an area which I feel pharma industry certainly need to do significant introspection on whether people with passion for development and training and with the linkage with the organization's vision and values, whether such people are available in order to do that activity, and whether the bosses have the patience to nurture and coach people. Don't just go by the review of data, but look at which areas that need to be give clarity to the people. I think that's a lot of things that need to be done in that area. Which people, even pricing, if you take the anxiety of the young brand managers is to look at competitive pricing and then no, look at whether I am competitively priced. So they are comfortable if we are slightly lower priced, or they are okay if we are not higher than the competition. Now, no, if I am strong in gastroenterology, or if I am strong in dermatology, okay, so for that I can certainly keep certain premium. Okay, so that conviction, how do I get? How do I say that this product can be premium priced? Because price premium also enables in a brand's perception.
Yes.
Okay, so pricing is very, very critical in creating a new perception for the brand. These are all the things people need to be coached. Okay, so instead of no teaching about how quickly one can achieve sales, okay, effort should go on how a brand character is built. Okay, that if the marketeers leadership is in a position to reflect and spend more time, situation will certainly change. It's not a very tough challenge. It requires that attitude towards nurturing the younger talent with the appropriate coaching. What one need to have is reflection of a lot of industry examples and anecdotes and insights emerging out of it.
Beautiful, sir. Beautiful. No.
One example I will give you. Okay, so this I am going to give from my DRL example. Razo is a brand which was, I'm talking in 2003 or 2004. It was priced at around 7 rupee or 7.5 rupees. And Torrent launched a brand called Veloz at a price lower than even omeprazole price. Okay, so Veloz, means the rabiprazole molecule at a price lower than omeprazole price. And very interestingly, Pfizer launched a rabiprazole brand called PH. Okay, and that was also priced lower than omeprazole price. Now the entire sales and marketing team in Dr. Reddy's at the time when I was handling were very much worried. I said that this will not help. Okay, so don't go by that, they are going to sweep the market. It will not happen. Because in the doctor's mind, omeprazole is at a particular perception level. So when you price a product lower than that, you are actually lowering its image. So pricing is a very important piece. So this type of coaching with the right type of example will certainly help the people to grow well.
Very beautifully said, Shankar sir. Very beautifully said. So training, development, coaching, hand holding, around critical pieces like life cycle management, pricing, etc., is the way to go forward for our young marketers. Beautifully said. Thank you so much for that, sir. We come to the last piece of our conversation. I have to respect your time. We have 15 minutes. So your biggest passion, which you're currently living, is the Curatio Healthcare story of huge success. Oh, well, you are the chief executive officer, sure, but what I have understood is your entire life's learnings, experiences, you have put in completely, and your energy you have devoted to making Curatio one of the most respected and we know fastest growing and differentiated dermatology companies in the country. I mean, you enjoy great leadership positions in brands like Teddy Bar, Triglens, right? And you have built these brands, and anybody who looks at it from outside says that this is a pure marketing driven organization. My question to you, when I met you in Chennai office last year and even before, it takes a lot of effort to build these practices, culture into an organization from the scratch, sir. It is not easy. I would love you to share your journey of these last 6.5 years in terms of how did you, at least build the right people, process, product, and the strong marketing, which actually has helped the company do so well. If you can share your thoughts, it will be very nice.
Okay, so thanks for that question. So first aspect is, no, it is not that everything one has to do on his own. Actually, I was lucky that I moved into Curatio because the founder's belief is in brand building. Okay, number one, because the founders had managed long ago the company called American Remedies, and it was acquired later by Dr. Reddy's. So that's where the idea of launch a product which is differentiated. So that idea is a very powerful idea. So which means all the products, with just a few exceptions, all the products will be not of a chemical entity, but it will be a co-prescriptive in nature. So they looked at with their resources what type of product they can launch, and that's how this differentiated product idea had come. So with my arrival, I have catalyzed or accelerated the performance journey, that I can certainly claim, with a couple of interventions. So first, let me complete the simple and easier thing is system and process driven. Okay, so that was is something which I focused on, be it a new product idea to launch. Okay, so today it is very strongly system driven, documentation support, data and analytics. So that is very strongly there. And processes are there for every functional piece, because I have vertical heads, I have functional heads who play their own individual role in running the business and operation. So at a macro level, systems and processes, converting the organization ERP driven, okay, strong SFE being in place, and the SFE getting totally utilized not only by the sales managers for the review, but for the brand managers to measure the level of execution. So our PMT is very well trained to look at what is the level of execution. To comment on that, they have to constantly look at the SFE data. So these fundamental pieces are put in place. At marketing level, if I have to comment, okay, one thing is I gave them the conviction, which I have in the earlier part of this interview, I have told you that, because here also the brand managers are all young. I told them that, it is very obvious and expected out of a sales guy to come for a briefing session, let us say, to know what is new. Okay, so you are promoting Atogla, what is new in that? So he wants new. Okay, and you as a guy, you are not going to change positioning. So you have to tell him that there is nothing new. Okay, so how do you pronounce that there is nothing new? Okay, but still bring in that excitement and for that guy to feel totally equipped and get into the market. So for that, in my first couple of years, I have worked very strongly with the brand management team to bring in those principles of consistency, continuity. Okay, why a campaign is not 3 months, 4 months specific, but a campaign runs for 2 years or 3 years too. Okay, so I have shared with them the examples like Keterol. In Keterol, from 2003 to till date, the campaign mode has not changed. The positioning is same. So why one need to stick to that? Once you know that this is what is the strategy, why you should not digress and dilute that type of a conviction building to the marketing team, number one. And number two is, as I said, how do you very strongly align with the sales team? So you are not just a meeting specific manager, but means you go to the briefing session and then tell them about the brand, but you are bringing in a connectivity with the sales guy. So what is that you can do? How you can build fun? Even 2 years, 3 years ago, we had for one particular brand of ours, I think 2 years ago, we had created a beautiful skit which runs for about, let us say, 45 minutes or 1 hour. That skit runs. Okay, and they have seen, the sales team has seen right from CEO, brand manager, the portfolio strategy person, all of us playing a role in the skit. Can you imagine the brand grew by 85% in that particular year? So that one charging is required. The field should understand the marketing team is working to equip me with all the relevant data or tools. If they understand, they start working for it. So that type of a change in terms of sales and marketing had been brought in, which has enabled. Otherwise, with the product decision, brand decision, everything is being handled by the business heads. These have a strong frame within which they have to work. But the frame is based on certain financials, what type of gross contribution a product should have. So financial frame, as well as what type of values we should demonstrate while launching or managing a brand. Those are all the frame which I periodically and in my every interaction I check. Plus certain rituals like town hall meeting or telling the people again and again what is our strategy. I have never felt bored about explaining our strategy to the people. Means what is Curatio's way of doing it. And the training and development, the CEO and the chairman, of the company, both will be there in training and development, so that the new joinee will be listening to us too. Okay, so these are all the changes which we have brought, which has enabled us to do well. From a marketing brand manager's perspective, I have also given significant stress on decisions need to be evolved only after the prescription analysis. So we give a lot of, I am one guy who have seen success in my career with all the decisions I have taken in my brand management time onwards to the strategy level based on prescription data. So I repeatedly insist on. So the people, the PM team will also know that when you go to Shankar Das, first his eyes will go for what is the customer insight, what is the prescriber behavior, what is the perception. So all those things, people know that this is how it should be done. So if people have clarity of what is expected out of them, I think, institutionalizing certain practices like analysis or, alignment with the sales team, it becomes very easy and simple. The second thing is digital marketing. So in the last 3 or 4 years, we have significantly improved our presence digitally. Okay, so when we started, of course, COVID time, it has gone up to multi-notch high. But in normal times, Curatio had done certain things which I think strategically was very relevant. We have a customer service cell. Okay, in customer service cell, if any of our users want to get a clarity on our product, okay, so he or she can call up and it will be going directly to an executive who will directly understand. There is no press 1 for English, press 2 for Hindi, nothing like that. No BPOs or a thing. Our own executive takes the phone and addresses. We have been successfully handling it. From there onwards, how to use our products, we have started demonstrating it to the people, leveraging the digital medium that are available to us. In the last 2 years after COVID has come in, okay, there were a lot of anxieties, because in the industry talks about now the era for digital marketing has come. So which means what will happen to the sales guy? So those type of questions are there. So we did few activities in which every salesperson had participated in our digital marketing activity with a lot of fun filled in that. In fact, in one such activity, okay, as a CEO, I came on the screen. Much of it happened through the screen. So I came on the screen, with like a big thug with dark glass and a gun in my hand. And the sales guys were totally surprised to see what's happening around. So you talk to any Curatio guy, they will not get worried about digital marketing, because we strongly believe that digital marketing cannot replace what a sales force can do. Digital marketing will certainly be very helpful in improving the touch points, in improving the patient's accessibility for our products, and it will also facilitate the marketing job significantly to communicate certain difficult concepts. So we use these digital operation tool very strongly for improving our growth and performance.
Brilliant, sir. It's such wonderful listening to you, and in a very, very clear articulation of what you do and how you have built this success because, as you rightly said, success has not come in a day, but it's been a life journey. You've put in your learnings, your fundamental ethos into building this organization, and building the right set of processes, KPIs, and mandates for the teams, and driving efficiency, effectiveness, and also setting up a business head kind of a structure, empowering your people. So one last question. Brand managers are always wanting to be creative and innovative, and it is not therefore, because that is the nature of the function. So do you encourage them to fail, make mistakes? It's okay. And do we promote the culture that it's okay even if we fail, but do try and see if it works? Is that also encouraged in your organization?
Absolutely. In fact, that is one thing I will give credit for a company like Dr. Reddy's, where I got groomed and I have grown as a brand manager. So without failures, I don't think one will see success. So we see failures, and there is no penalty point or repercussion for failures. Okay, we always tell the people that understanding from the failure, okay, should ensure that we move forward successfully. The one should not fail in the same way second time.
Absolutely.
Okay, fail in a new way, that's okay, but don't fail in the same way second time or third time. That we ensure. One aspect in your summarization, I would say that no, sales is not pressure. Marketing is not pressure. If sales and marketing can bring in significant amount of happiness and fun in going that business, I think success will certainly come. So that is one of my important take home. I always tell my team, as well as I will share with this group also. There has to be fun. It cannot be instruction driven.
It's been amazing listening to you, Shankar sir. It's like you're a beautiful storyteller. So I've seen your new side today. Apart from being a very sharp and astute marketer, you're a very good storyteller. I think you bring in all your life experiences and you've made it so entertaining, but yet you have slipped in those very powerful messages for our audience. And it's great listening to you for the last 1 hour, sir. It's been a wonderful experience. Thank you so much for your time, your sharing your learnings, etc. It's been amazing. Really grateful that you could share your thoughts with us. Sir, I take your leave, I sign off, but it's wonderful interacting, and thanks so much for being on this. And if any closing messages, sir, I still have 3 minutes. I would love to steal that time because I love listening to you. I mean, honestly, I love listening to you. Any closing messages for us or for the community, please feel free to share, sir.
Okay. No, I think one closing message which I said when you summarized, I said the fun element was missing. Yeah. So one thing is that pharma marketing, there is no pressure in that. Okay. So in that way, if the sales and marketing team can bring in happiness and joy in the way they are doing their work, I think it is going to do, because we are supposed to bring the people, patients out of their pain and suffering. So if only we are in the right framework, okay, which is having comfort and happiness, I think we can do that job. So that is very, very important in my opinion. And we repeatedly talked about in my 35th year or other thing. So if I look back my 35 years, I have hundreds of anecdotal stories. I tell this to my sales and marketing in very many occasion time. So if any successful sales leader or marketing leader can bring in that behavior of sharing a story, okay, I think the instruction driven management will disappear, and happiness filled management will come into place. So that would be my suggestion as a closing message.
Superb, sir. Superb. I think this is a very well, because today the pressures are so high to deliver that the fun has gone out of the window, and it is always only the pressure, and you can't perform all the time under pressure, as you rightly said. Great, sir. Thank you so much, Shankar sir. It's been fantastic. As I always said, we'll stay connected. And once again, from me, sincere gratitude and thanks for coming on our series, sir. Really
Okay.
your time. Thank you.
I enjoyed it. Thanks to all, and all the best to your listeners.